What's up? What's up? We are back. This week in White Supremacy. Welcome. You know, if there are some people that tuned into our last show, which got a lot of love, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Don't Call Me White Girl, who was our guest on the podcast. It went strong, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But now we're back to kind of our normal, regularly scheduled podcast. My name is Jasiri X. I'm co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media, and to my immediate right,
Miracle.
Miracle?
It's your girl. Hey, the Mayhem Miracles back in the bed.
There we go. Mayhem Miracle. Let's go.
What's poppin'?
Got the light-skinned people on the internet mad at you.
Mayhem Miracle is crazy.
It's okay. They stay mad at Miracle. It'll be fine.
It will be fine.
Listen,
you know, yes.
I have jokes. I'm gonna kick him off. But
okay. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you have jokes. And my brother.
It's Trouble Not Light Skin.
Yes.
Never Like Supremacy. Next Level Shaman. You already know the deal.
Yes. The light skin takeovers unfortunately only lasted one episode. But my brother.
The yellow brother in yellow.
The yellow brother in yellow.
There we go, man.
Yellow on yellow, huh?
Yellow on yellow, man. Yeah, man. Supreme Asiatic Intelligently Divine. I'm happy to be here. I too have jokes today.
It's a lot.
There's so much. Let's just start the show off, man.
Yes, and we wanted to start off with
fuckery is what we're starting off.
Well, we're going to start off with a clip of Donald Trump speaking about one of his favorite black people.
My African American
over there.
Yeah, my African American over there.
Is African American who is running for governor of North Carolina. Here is Donald Trump.
And he's been an unbelievable Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson.
Has he? Has he been?
He's definitely unbelievable. he's definitely that.
He is unbelievable. Yes, very much so.
I heard him, and by the way, his wife is much more lovely than he is. I can tell you that.
I'm sure she is.
Thank you Don, for being here. But you know, I heard him
Apparently your sister
on the
is.
plane. I was listening, and I said to the people on the plane, "Watch this. This is Martin Luther King on steroids." Okay, now
it's so wild because
I told that to
Martin Luther King on steroids. That's wild.
I think you're better than Martin Luther King. I think you are
better. What though?
Martin Luther King times 2. And he looked at me, and I wasn't sure, was he angry because that's a terrible thing to say, or was he complimenting? I have never figured it out.
What category?
But I'm telling you, he's more than right. When I said that to you, you look like, I don't know.
Listen,
you should
cut
like
cameras.
Oh my God!
Not in what category?
Because you are outstanding, and you're going to be the next.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God!
I'm sorry. When he said Martin Luther King on steroids, I was like, wow, that's kind of
it's very specific category.
In this context,
It was like a delayed response because when I caught it, oh my God.
For those of you who don't know.
Yes, I mean, you know, Martin Luther King.
You were going to hell with a scholarship.
I'm so sorry.
Jesus Christ.
But speaking of Mark Robinson, you know, this, I guess maybe like less than 24 hours after Trump called him Martin Luther King on steroids, a expose dropped on CNN where Mark Robinson was on a porn site and he had a lot to say.
He had a lot of chat room.
Yeah, he had Twitter fingers.
He was in the Rachel chat room. I wonder if Doja Cat was in this one. In this one as well.
Him and Michael Eric Dyson, they've been in the same chat room.
But it's wild because the site is called Nude Africa, and it's like, bro, just get a National Geographic. I mean, it's like, what?
Like.
You have to go to a website for Nude Africa? I don't know. Anyway, one of the things he had to say was, quote, "I'm a black Nazi."
Okay.
He declared himself.
Kanye kind of beat you to the punch.
He declared himself a black Nazi. He declared himself a perv. He said he liked to like peep on women. You know what I'm saying?
Like peeping Toms?
Yes.
I
you know what I'm saying?
I knew a youth that got arrested for that when we was in school.
He said he liked he liked transgender pornography.
Hey, man, you know
what I'm saying?
We don't
Like,
kink shame on this show.
But he said, he said he wanted to bring slavery back.
Whoa.
Oh.
He said, I wanted
He said all of this on a porn site?
Yes. Why are you talking about this
on a porn, like, of all the forums?
It is nude Africa, so maybe he thought he could get some slaves.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Political porn, man.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes.
Porn is political.
And he said, you're right. He said he wanted to, like he said, he'll buy some slaves if slavery coming back, as if he wouldn't be one himself.
I'm about to say.
I don't know where that came.
Yeah. You know where he came.
I'm about to say. You beat me to the punch.
Oh wow!
I appreciate you. Well played.
It says in another thread, commentators considered whether to believe a story of a woman who said she was sexually assaulted by her taxi cab driver while intoxicated. In response, he wrote, "And the moral of the story: don't F a white B."
Why are you being censored now?
I mean, yeah. You know what I'm saying? He said, "I'm not in the KKK. They don't let blacks join. If I was in the KKK, I would have called him Martin Lucifer Coon."
What?
Yes. So, ironically, I don't know, maybe not ironically,
I'm about to say that's it.
his name on the site was Mini Soldier.
I mean, maybe self-deprecating.
Maybe,
Maybe he's the exception.
maybe the rumors don't fit everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe he just, I guess maybe not. You know what I'm saying?
So I don't understand leaving comments on porn sites.
I don't understand leaving comments in a lot of places.
Yeah, facts,
that's me.
facts. But it's like the
community.
nature of these comments is wild. Like on a porn site to saying all of this shit.
Yes.
Like that's your soapbox.
And what's interesting also is that like he used this handle Mini Soldier across different websites.
He handled his Mini Soldier across different websites.
Wow.
So for whatever some reason he was on Black Planet. You know what I'm saying?
I remember Black Planet.
He was on Pinterest. He was on YouTube. He was on all these other sites, Facebook and Twitter, with the name Mini Soldier. So they were saying that
crazy work.
It's crazy, and they were kind of saying like, "This is clear. It's him. Like it's very clear that this is him."
Yeah, because he had like his photo as an avatar.
He had his photo.
Yeah.
He's posting his own, like on his YouTube. He's posting clips of himself.
Yeah.
Like he's Mini Soldier. He's posting clips of himself talking to other people.
Did he ever serve in the armed forces?
I don't. He served all right. He served.
Mark Robinson was a big fan of Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Apparently, he went to Africa for his service.
Oh shit.
Bro, we gotta play this clip.
Do you want to play? Okay, so here's
we gotta listen to him defend himself.
Okay, here's Mark Robinson. This was his response, right, to the revelation that he was making incendiary comments on a porn site.
News media is at it again. My opponent is at it again.
Is he?
You all
sound like you've been at it again, brother.
Outright lies of Josh Stein on these ads over and over again, and now a story leaked by him to CNN is appearing now. Let me reassure you, the things that you will see in that story, those are not the words of Mark Robinson. You know my words.
Mini Soldier.
And you know that I have been completely transparent in this race and before. Folks, this race right now, our opponents are desperate to shift the focus here from the substantive issues and focus on what you are concerned with to salacious tabloid trash.
We saw what you was concerned with, brother.
This media is at it again.
Okay, that's it.
At it again.
So I think there's not really a question. Supposedly he was losing by a lot in the governor's race, the North Carolina's governor race. I guess the question is, does this put North Carolina in play for Kamala Harris? And because this is like one of Trump's picks, right? Trump not only picked him, he loves him. He said all these glowing things about him. He said like he's better. He actually said this man is better than Martin Luther King. This is what Donald Trump said.
So he's Martin Luther King on steroids.
Yes.
Steroids is crazy.
So do you think, Miracle, that this could sink Donald Trump's presidential campaign?
Oh, that was like no, I would.
Oh, okay. No?
I mean, he has endorsed people before, but let's be very clear. We knew who Mark was before he even became the nominee. He was talking about killing gay people. He was talking about like slavery wasn't bad. He has been talking about all of these things way before this CNN expose came out. My issue was that all of this information was allegedly, according to CNN, released from Republican people who did opposition research, who were trying to figure out what his weaknesses were because they wanted him to drop out to run a different candidate. What this now does is mess with all of the Republicans in North Carolina, where you either have to cling to his racism and bigotry, because he's the top of the ticket, or then you have to worry about splitting your Republican votes.
Well, but it's not, Miracle, it's not just racism and bigotry. It's like, this is a guy that's talking about, like you said, talking in very negative ways. What it is. Well, also, well, he's talking in very negative way. Well, we don't kink shame here. The peeping is wild.
Yeah, the peeping is wild.
That's illegal.
Everything else is like good. Like, I think that, and I know we're going to get into a little bit more, like the way we talk about sex has been like really horrible within this country.
Yes.
And the way we just remove consent and having information about thinking it's okay for adult people to engage in, as Shannon says, adult activities, and then having a conversation about what happens when adults violate each other's consent. I think those are two separate conversations.
Did Shannon Sharp say that before or after he went live?
He was explaining
some adult activities.
He was explaining what had happened when he went live.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And so I do think that I don't care that he was watching transgender porn. I care that he advocates and fights that transgender people in North Carolina can't have access to Medicare, can't have access to transitional services, can't have access to jobs and support. I don't care that he is into any type of sexual whatever. I care that he talks about killing queer people and saying that they are a threat to society and that people can't learn about queer history. That's what I care about. But Mark was someone that people allowed to come to the forefront based on being a bigot. He has his YouTube pages, his conversations. Like he said, I've been transparent. That's how we know this is him.
Right.
Because
it's like you use the same screen name on all your accounts, my nigga. We know it's you.
And it's very interesting because it's like this Ashley Madison leak. I think we forgot about it. Yeah. Like, I think, to be very honest, like people get leaked up. Well, Ashley Madison's this website where it's like seeking arrangements, where instead of we're trying to find a sugar daddy, it's like married people trying to like.
I remember this. Okay.
So his email address was also on Ashley Madison. Oh, he was trying to find affairs.
So now, like, people are going back to these data leaks and trying to find people who are famous and being like, oh, your email was on here. This email was on there. And so, like, all of this stuff is like coming up again to be like, okay, you're a hypocrite. You have this marriage you say is amazing and wonderful and like as the image of God, but now you're over here, looking at stuff that is against your marriage and trying to step outside your marriage. That is a problem. But I do think that this is once again revealing the
hypocrisy.
Like the hypocrisy of the Republican Party, but also of what Trump is. Because Trump was like, was supposed to be this like family values person, but he has no family values. And allegedly he's now on a mistress who is like using racial slurs and talking about immigrants horribly while also, allegedly giving him advice about running his campaign. So like, these Republican ideals of like family values, we keep saying that this is not
this
a
reality. This really is like pulled directly from The Boys.
I mean, it is
like this is like straight up off
senator.
The Boys, for those that don't know, The Boys is a TV show.
Yeah, the Amazon Prime. Yeah,
I think it was a guy in Tennessee. Like they just revealed he was having an affair, and his family was like, "This is not, the conservative Christian values. He doesn't espouse that. He's a hypocrite." So I think that like this is what we're seeing with all these people. I missed my New York friend.
I would argue though. Oh, you missed George.
Scam God.
I missed Scam God because he was like I think that's why he was running. He was like, none of these people are serious.
Yeah, but
none of these people mean what they say.
Right. I mean, it's right. Exactly. I mean, it's like, and we're seeing this. We'll talk about JD Vance and kind of this whole idea of like Haitian people eating cats and dogs. They know these things are lies. And this is the thing, Miracle, like, I don't think it's about that. Like they lie. Trump was like, oh, my favorite book is the Bible. Oh, was there any particular part? No, just the whole Bible. Like they know, I think inherently people know they're lying. They know Trump. I mean, we heard Trump say, grab her by the pussy. We've seen him divorce multiple times. Like we know he's not a family vice. To me, and they know the same thing about Mark Robinson. They'll continue to support Mark Robinson because for them, it's about white supremacy and the hatred of anybody that doesn't espouse the tendencies of like white superiority and like, oh, America is so great because of its whiteness. They don't care about Christian values. They never have.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, literally, you enslaved a whole group of people. That's not based on the Bible. That's not biblical. That's not treating the least of these. This is one of the comments that, what's the brother who's the pastor in North Carolina that does the Moral Mondays?
Barber.
Reverend Barber. He was like, you espouse the Bible, but the Bible says the least of these, and all of your policies are designed to benefit wealthy people, and none of them are designed to help the poorest people in North Carolina or anywhere else. So it has nothing to do. They cloak themselves in that. It's a big lie. You like Trump because he's racist. Mm-hmm. You like Mark Robinson because he's a self-hating black man. You like, again, this Laura Loomer woman who supposedly is having an affair with Trump, who's just an avowed white supremacist, just an outright disgusting white supremacist, right?
I just think this week was too much to learn about people's sex lives. Like, and like what people do, you consensually, whatever. But RFK was having some type of affair.
Yes.
Like every day was like a new like scandal of sex. And I don't watch The Boys, so I don't know like what really happened. After I got lied to about the premise of the show. And I saw that one scene and I was like, this is not.
Yes, it is. The Boys is, although it's called The Boys, for those that don't know that's watching, it is for mature audiences only. Yes.
Much like this show.
Yeah, correct.
But we don't have people exploding from the inside.
But
not yet.
Additionally, right. So here's and again, like,
I don't know what that means.
Miracle, in a normal presidential race, right, being affiliated with like a right-wing white supremacist like Laura Loomer, right, would be grounds to like drop out of the race. Just to be, he's bringing her around. He's taking them to the debate. This is one of the comments that she made. She has a podcast like everybody else. This is one of the comments that she made about Kamala Harris.
They talk in their little DEI Shaniqua voices, and it's just very piercing, very irritating sound. They all have the same voice. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, Letitia James, and Fannie Willis. Like all of the like meritless DEI Shaniquas talk the same way. It's very obnoxious the way that they talk.
I mean, that's some straight 90s racism right there. And I had talked about this attack on DEI being much like the attack that it was done against affirmative action in the 90s, and they're even using the same rhetoric, like calling people Shaniquas. The next thing we're going to see is what? Welfare queens? What are we going to see next from the right?
Well, I mean, again, they had, she actually put something on Twitter about, Kamala Harris's Indian identity. You know what I'm saying? Where she said like the White House was going to be smelling like curry or whatever. She said something about she not only said that, she said like, oh, she's going to set up some phone. What was it? I'll have to I'm trying to
a little too close to home. You mad she stole your joke?
Yes. But she said that they was gonna have the White House calls and call from a call center.
She said the White House. She said the White House. This is what she wrote. The White House will smell like curry, and White House speeches will be facilitated via call center. Damn. And the American people will only be able to convey their feedback through a customer satisfaction survey at the end of the call that nobody will understand, right? So she's criticizing Kamala Harris's Indian heritage. Wait a second, because JD Vance has an Indian American wife.
You can't, like, this is seriously off the boys. Like, all of this.
She and JD Vance has not said anything to this woman.
Indian children.
These children's grandparents are Indian immigrants. And this man is willing.
What's Vivek saying right now?
Exactly.
Where's Vivek right now? Where's Nikki Haley? Where's Nikki Haley on this?
Supporting Trump.
Yes,
so crazy, man.
And they don't care that he's with this. They don't care that he's having an affair with this woman. They don't care that he's with this like raging lunatic white supremacist.
This is Homelander and Stormfront, like literally.
Trump said he doesn't.
What was her name? What was the girl's name?
I'm not sure, but Trump basically said like, "Oh, she's a free spirit. Like I don't control her. I don't control what she says."
That's exactly what you say about your side, man.
Who allegedly just rocking his world.
Yeah.
Man.
Listen,
okay. So apparently JD Vance said he doesn't like the comments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I don't like that. I have to get up early in the morning. I don't like, that there are olives on pizza. I don't like a whole bunch of things, but like I would hope that you would push back a little bit more on people who were literally talking about the culture of your children and your wife, who, even though she's not white, is a good mom.
Yeah, I forgot.
He said that. He said that. Yeah, apparently he said this. What Laura said about Kamala Harris is not what we should be focused on. We should be focused on the policies and the issues. But it's like
media training.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, it's like you are somebody. Again, are you going to defend? But none of these people, none of them defend their wives in the face of Trump.
What's Thanksgiving going to be like for JD Vance this year? Like, his wife is going. What's she going?
Probably going to be on the campaign trail. They're not gonna have to sit there.
Yeah, they gonna be together. Yeah, that's probably right.
Well, speaking of JD Vance, he has been
cringy.
Well, I mean, he's always cringy, but I would say more insidious at this point because he was the one that really started to push the lie that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, were capturing dogs and cats and geese and eating them. Right. He was the first one that kind of pushed this lie, even though they said that his own people working for him told him that this was baseless.
Yeah.
There was no truth to it. There was no facts to it. So he did an interview with Dana Bash where he basically talked about why he and Donald Trump helped to, in his words, create this story. Did you want to play that, Farouk?
This is just stranger and stranger by the minute.
American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about false. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana. Because
you just said that you're creating a story.
Public policy.
Silence.
Sorry, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
Well, what's that? Again,
you just said that this is a story that you created. So then the eating dogs and cats thing is not.
We are creating. Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it.
So it basically,
hold on. Every man that's ever been caught up by a woman before has done exactly what JD Vance just done.
I'm sorry.
Deny.
He had to get his facts straight.
What? Walk me through what just happened. I'm sorry. Like I'm 12. Explain to me.
He got caught. You know what I'm saying? This was the deep part. It said that the Wall Street Journal was investigating it, and the Wall Street Journal went and because JD Vance was like, my constituents are saying that my constituents. So there was a woman who called the police and said that a Haitian person kidnapped her cat and was eating it. And guess what? She actually, when the Wall Street Journal called her, she said, actually, she later found her cat alive and in her basement. And then she actually went and apologized to her Haitian neighbors because she lied on them. So like this, my constituent, they actually investigated. He could have done that. Trump could have done that, but it doesn't.
How many Haitians are in Springfield, Ohio? Like they're making it seem like it's Miami or something.
Well, a lot. So what ended up happening was, and the same thing happened in Charleroi. Because in Charleroi, which is about an hour from where we are, there also was an influx of Haitian immigrants. And what happened was these businesses were looking for workers. And so these businesses, as these Haitian immigrants started to come in, these businesses were like, wow, these are very hard workers. They're on time. They're handling their business. We need more of these type of workers. They're not illegal. They're actually here legally. They have legal status. And so these businesses in Springfield was asking, so it says approximately like 20,000 Haitian immigrants have come into Springfield.
Wow.
Now, mind you, places like Springfield, Ohio, and Charleroi, PA, were places of dying. In Charleroi, this right-wing state senator, I forget her name, right? She actually had to go and say, hey, actually, I mess with y'all right-wing people, but your narrative about the Haitian immigrants in Charleroi is wrong. This business had no workers and was about to close. Started to bring in Haitian immigrants. Now this business is working like full time. The town is now thriving. Businesses are now coming back to life and thriving in Charleroi. Why? Because of these Haitian immigrants coming in and working hard on these businesses. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the real story. It's really a story of like how, I mean, if you want to make it an American story now, we could get into more than likely they're being exploited by these businesses and they're not getting paid anything and all this. And I know that's kind of what, did you want to say that, Miracle?
Yes. Can we just talk about we're using immigrants as slave labor these days?
Yeah.
Like we're literally forced, like we destroy people's countries, force them to come here, and then it's like, oh, you can resettle here.
Yes,
we'll help you get housing, and then you get a job, and it's like less than $7 an hour. Like it's this idea that there are no workers. No, there are no workers who are taking pennies on the dollar because they're trying to live in this capitalistic system, and they understand their worth. So you are literally exploiting people who have nowhere else to go and nowhere else to live, and you're literally providing them the service, so they're showing up on time because they literally, it is life or death for them as they're trying to rebuild maybe their second, third, or fourth time.
Right.
But on top of that, like this, we keep using, I never understand like how a country of immigrants is always wanting to attack other immigrant people. And I hate the fact that so many times it's Black people that are being used like to push this narrative, like the guy in like DC, like, oh, like why are we now the faces of white supremacy trying to be used to attack immigrants? When the reality is there's enough for like all of us. And there's enough for all of us to survive. But this idea that like Haitian people eat cats and dogs goes back to like 1980s. And it was the same thing that like Miami was doing. They didn't want Haitians, so that let's do these stereotypes so we can create fear. But then what happens? Little Haiti pops up, right? Then we love Haitian culture. Then we love Haitian art. We love Haitian food. We love Haitian people. But we just want to exploit them. And
well, not everybody, because J.D. Vance,
you know, I'm tired.
Had something more to say about the Haitian immigrant community. Can you play that, Farouk?
Hi, Senator. Mia McCarthy with Politico. Question for you about the Haitian migrants in Springfield. So I know you've talked a lot about how we need to deport illegal aliens, but I wanted to ask you, the majority of the Haitians in Springfield came under TPS, so they are here legally. And I know you've expressed a lot of your issues with the TPS program and wanting to change that under a Trump-Vance administration. But I guess my question for you is, if you become the vice president under a Trump administration, what will you guys do about the migrants that are already there, since they did arrive legally? And a follow-up to that, if you plan to deport them, how would you do that legally?
Well, look, this is a
he loved taking deep
media and Kamala Harris fact check that I want to clarify and clear up right now. And here's now, the media loves to say that the Haitian migrants, hundreds of thousands of them, by the way, 20,000 in Springfield, but hundreds of thousands of them all across our country, they are here legally.
Which
and
they
what
are.
they mean is that Kamala Harris used two separate programs, mass parole and temporary protective status. She used two programs to wave a wand and to say, we're not going to deport those people here. Well, if Kamala Harris waves the wand illegally and says these people are now here legally, I'm still going to call them an illegal alien. An illegal action from Kamala Harris does not make an alien legal.
So
how is it a legal action if
because she's Black and he don't recognize her?
Protected act, nigga.
Like, if it's an illegal act, then you're a senator, prosecutor, do something, bring the weight, call her into some type of court of law. You're not going to do that because you know it's not illegal. And you know that this fan base that you're talking to are outright, they're not fact checking, because if they were fact checking, they would know these are lies in the first place.
Right.
You know that obviously, but then Trump even took it a step further. You know what I'm saying? And it's I want, because the reality of Trump, right, is some of these immigrant, particularly like these older black immigrant men, love Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. Some of the younger ones, you know what I'm saying? We talked about Kodak Black as a Haitian a person, although Kodak Black got let out of jail by Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying? But again, it makes me wonder how some of these individuals like feel now. Like now, here is Donald Trump basically using you and your community to try to get elected. And he doesn't care if not only if it's true or not, nor does he care about the ramifications. There's been all of these bomb threats. All of these schools had to close. I think they said one school got over 30 bomb threats. All of these people are descending. The Proud Boys came into Springfield. You know what I'm saying? They've done violence before that we've seen. We saw it on January 6th,
I'm about to say, we had a...
People were distributing Klan flyers in Springfield, Ohio now. So it's like he doesn't care. And we know Trump don't care if he starts violence or not. But this is what Trump said about the immigrants, not only just in Springfield, but immigrants in general.
And the Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals.
I mean, again, you know what I'm saying? And
your man's an immigrant, bruv. Elon.
Well, and I mean, is he?
But he's not a black immigrant. That's the difference.
White people don't see themselves as immigrants.
When people think of immigrants, they're usually thinking of someone who's black and brown. They're not thinking about Cuban immigrants. They're not thinking about, European, British immigrants, European immigrants. Like I remember when I was in high school, one of my classmates was an immigrant and he was illegal and he was from the UK.
Yeah.
And he was like, nobody ever cares about me and my family being an illegal immigrant, but ICE is always coming against the Mexican and the Spanish speaking immigrants and who are in we're in the same school, who are in the same communities. And it makes absolutely no sense when we're talking about like immigrants and immigration, because we have this wet foot, dry foot policy. We do TPS. When situations happened with Ukraine, we told Ukrainians that they could come here, right? So if we're talking about these illegal activities, we change people's legal status all the time.
All the time. And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to get into my family business, but most immigrants that are here illegally are actually from Canada. And they blend in perfectly.
Yeah.
Right. And then the second, I believe and this is from Department of Homeland Security, from HomeSec, I believe the number 2 is Russians or Ukrainians. That are like past their visa or something like that. You know what I mean? And then it's Mexicans or whatever else down the line. Like
most people stay past their visa.
Yeah, and that's where most illegal immigration comes from, is overstaying a visa. This is but like as an immigrant and as people have a lot of friends as immigrants. Jesus Christ, like to say all immigrants are just animals. Yeah, and that's what even makes it more bewildering to me that black and brown people are voting for him.
Right.
Like that's crazy.
That's the conversation. Now, they did have a story about how they tried to have like a black Trump rally and like 4 people showed up.
Niggas for Trump.
But I think it's moving, and I think it's like sometimes when you don't understand systems, you react by what's in front of you. Like you don't understand like immigration and white supremacy. All you know is your boss fired you and then hired a whole bunch of immigrants so he could pay you less. You don't know about immigration, but all you know is your mayor said there was no room for housing for you in your community, and all of a sudden migrants got bussed in and they have housing and support. Like you may not understand these systems, but all you understand is what you're seeing. What you're seeing and makes you angry, and so therefore you start hating these migrants in front of you, and the only person who's talking about that and explaining that to you is Trump. So then you're like, okay, I'm gonna go vote for him, when in reality I think the Democrats have really failed to also talk about migration.
Yes.
Fail to talk about how you get here, how you stay here, what federal dollars are assigned to help people resettle. Like even Pittsburgh, we're a resettlement city. We get money from the government to host immigrants here, host refugees here. A lot of people do not understand that, and so when they say like, oh, I have nothing, somebody else is getting something, your human response is to be angry and irate. Nobody really is going to let me go research more.
Yeah.
Like let me go try to understand and sit in city council hearings and go to town halls and spend like 30 hours trying to figure out what's going on. It's like, no, why is this person getting something that I'm not? And so I do think that like the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, has been really good about trying to explain to people what resources are there from the city, what resources are there from the federal government, while also understanding that Black people have been abandoned and disenfranchised, and for some intents purposes are refugees within our own cities.
Right.
We're being forced out, we're being kicked out, we're being moved. We are, occupied by police forces. And so a lot of us actually have within the United States an immigrant refugee experience and crisis, but we don't have the same support or recognition from our city or our federal government. And so I do think there are a lot more conversations that we can have about bringing people together. But Trump is not the answer to that.
Yes.
No, yeah, not
and
at all.
From my perspective, what I've been seeing a lot, so I be on YouTube a lot, and most of the ads are political ads around the campaign. And every Republican ad that I see says something about immigration. And if I believed that rhetoric, if I was someone who bought into that story, it would make me angry. And what I'm seeing is, so I used to read this book about entrepreneurship. And one of the gems that I took out of the book was, when you hear a problem that's a gold mine, you capitalize off that gold mine and you present a solution as your business, right? And I feel like what the Republican Party is doing right now is they're trying to create this issue around immigration and make people angry, and then present their solution of, well, we're going to get rid of them. We're going to make it harder for them to come in. You should vote for us because we're willing to do something about this problem that we're presenting to you to make you feel something in the first place.
And that's the game, right? That's the scam, because... And in order for you to be, you have to be fear-based. So then it's like they're animals. They're eating cats and dogs. It was somebody that said, oh, they don't have Western values, right? To
Who said that?
To quote Kendrick Lamar, one of these Trump supporters, right?
Wow.
They don't have Western values. So it's like they're not like us, right? There was a video that I just sent to you where this was a guy that's a Project 2025 board member, where he just said, and we don't have to play the video, but he just said Haiti would have been better if they were enslaved and colonized for 30 more years.
Whoa.
That'd have been better for Haitians. You know what I'm saying? And because then they have more, I guess, tutelage in the white way, right? And so that's why
civilized the savage.
Right. That's why Elon Musk can behave like he's not an immigrant. And somebody actually, put out there and said, why is Elon Musk saying all these things like he's not an immigrant?
Right.
And the response that somebody put was that it was like white people. Hold on, let me find this.
It was white people don't see themselves as immigrants anywhere on the planet.
Yeah. Right. It says white people don't see themselves as immigrants anywhere on the globe. And so because he's white, he's like, yo, I'm Elon Musk. No, but you're an immigrant. But that doesn't stick to them because they're white, because he has Western values, right? He blends in with us. He does with us. He's not. And so that's that thing. They're not assimilating into our culture. They want to make America like Haiti, or they want to make America like Mexico. And this is that fear. You had a situation where, and I believe this was a conversation in Congress about anti-Arab immigration, anti-Arab vitriol, right? And how, because of what we see happening in the Middle East, which it looks like it could be now World War III. Yeah. Now that Israel has aggressed upon Lebanon in a way again. And it's, to me, I don't,
Now I'm in the fight.
It's like It's like Netanyahu is just saying he's just going to keep making war, because he knows the minute this war stops, he's out of there. So where's another war? Where's another war? Where's some more Arab people to bomb, right? And so this was supposedly a conversation about how this is making it dangerous to be an Arab in this country. And this woman was met by such white supremacist vitriol from the
senators.
The senator was specifically the Republican senator from Louisiana. Listen to this conversation that this Republican senator is coming at, and this is a woman named Maya Berry, who's executive director of the Arab American Institute. So let me say it one more again. The Arab American.
That second part is important.
Institute. Go ahead and play that clip, brother.
You support UNRWA and Hamas, don't you?
Sir, please. I think it's exceptionally disappointing that you're looking at an Arab American witness before you and saying you support Hamas.
You know what's disappointing to me?
I do not support Hamas.
Bring yourself
I do
to
not
say
support Hamas.
You don't
or
support UNRWA. You don't support Hamas.
You just said it, bro.
I was very clear in my support for UNRWA.
Hezbollah, and you don't support Iran. You should hide your head in a bag.
It's regrettable that as I sit here, have experienced the very issue that we're attempting to deal with today. The introduction of foreign policy is not how we keep Arab Americans or Jewish Americans or Muslim Americans or Black people or Asian Americans, anybody safe. This has been regrettably a real disappointment, but very much an indication of the danger to our democratic institutions that we're in now.
This is what gets me tight about this is the same almost verbatim rhetoric that was used against me when I first came to America and went to school. This is the same rhetoric that was used against my mom when she got political asylum.
Yeah,
the same exact thing. And to see that it's like, the thing is like, it's never not been. America's never been a place where it's a safe space for Arabs. It's never been a safe space for Black people.
No,
but and
anybody not white,
anybody that's not white, and right now because of this boogeyman thing about immigrants and this boogeyman theory and all the xenophobia, everybody is on high alert, and it's become an increasingly violent space, not only verbally, but physically. Like, you don't have to look far back into history to see in 2013 when in North Carolina, when 3 Muslim students at Chapel Hill were killed over a parking spot because they were Muslim.
Right.
Right. You don't have to go far to see people shooting up a masjid in Christchurch in New Zealand because of this right-wing radicalized, ideology that emboldens certain people. You don't have to go far to see, we've even talked about on the show, people putting bacon and pork on their Muslim neighbors' doorknobs, right? Things like that. This is just escalating behavior, and this isn't the origin point of it. This is the head of it. And now when it spills into these political theater spaces, right? Then people start doing assassination attempts. Then people start carrying out acts of violence against people who don't fit this American mold because they eat cats and they don't have Western values, right? This is where the breeding ground of it is. So whatever, we can sit here and say, these senators are senseless for saying this, but they know exactly what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Because they can't pull the trigger themselves, but their constituents and the people that vote for them absolutely can.
And it's like, once Donald Trump started to use this rhetoric, again, and nobody, because he's Trump, and if you challenge him, he's going to, exile you. And so it's like everybody wants to kind of play up to him. And so now, Trump just came out and said that if he loses this race, it's going to be the fault of Jewish Americans. He he said this on video that, like, hey, if I lose this, it's going to be because Jewish American people didn't vote for me. And so now
it really doesn't get any more anti-Semitic than that.
I mean that again, like, here is somebody it's putting a target. I'm gonna send you this clip, bro. It's like putting a target.
You're preemptively calling for violence against an entire group of people.
100%. And mind you, this is somebody who just basically said, first he says, it's the all these, immigrants from Mexico, we're going to deport them, right? With no plan. Who's going to do it? Is it going to be the army? Is it going to be the police? How much are they going to charge? What's going to happen? What's going on? No real plan, but that's what they're saying. We're going to, soon at day one, when he's a dictator on day one, we're going to deport all of these. Then now it's attacking Haitian immigrants. The vitriol against Arabs, is, like you said, has been there a while. Now that's ramping up now.
Yeah.
And now, can you just play what he said?
I wasn't treated properly by the voters who happen to be Jewish. I don't know. Do they know what the hell is happening? If I don't win this election, and the Jewish people would really have a lot to do with that if that happens, because at 40%, that means 60% of the people are voting for the enemy.
The enemy. He said this at the Israeli-American Council.
Yeah, he said this at AIPAC. And so now we know your followers are violent. We're seeing people descend into Springfield, Ohio to make violence against these. We've seen, like you said, we've seen attacks on Arab Americans, right? We've seen attacks on Mexican Americans. We've seen like pure violence by white supremacists, right? This idea that like they're, you know, they're not going to take our country. Now it's like, okay, if we lose, it's all of these immigrants' fault. Because remember, the narrative is they're flooding the border with immigrants so they can vote for Kamala Harris. That's the narrative.
You know what this reminds me of, and you're probably way too young to remember the climate, but I know Miracle and Jasiri do. How the world felt after 9/11.
Definitely.
This is like a facsimile of what it was like to navigate the states after 9/11. The anti-Arab statements, the people confusing Arabs and Israelis, right? Jews and Muslims.
Yeah.
The vitriol and like the oppression against brown people, and even black Muslims. Black Muslims didn't really get it as bad though, because like it was like everybody was afraid of the nation.
Yeah, because we're blacks though.
There was still surveillance.
We were still definitely. The messages were definitely surveilled, but like but this is still that. But that my point was, this is a very familiar feeling.
Yeah. I also will add that white supremacy, in order for it to continue, needs people to uphold it.
Yes.
And so when Trump sits there and says, if I lose this race, it's the Jewish people's fault, there are a subset of people who are going to sit there and say, I do not want to deal with Republicans, armed fascists with guns, blaming me for the election. So I'm going to firmly root myself in Trump's camp so he gets elected, so I don't have to deal with the backlash.
Yeah, that's a strong point.
There's that. Then there's going to be people who are going to be
their form of harm reduction.
Right. There are also going to be people who are going to be like, don't talk about my community like that way, and I'm going to do something else. But when we're talking about all of these systems of violence and how they occur and how they keep forming and stay alive, it is because we are seeing in real time white supremacy can spit out and it can protect. So we look at a Mark Robinson who can be like, I can be a racist and I can be a bigot and I can do all this stuff and I can still win. Or I can vote my conscience and be a Jamal Bowman and I can just be a one-term person. I can be my conscience and be like a person and I can be fired from my job, or I can play it safe and possibly become the president of the United States. And I think we have to have real conversations about like how white supremacy threatens some of us to get in line and do its bidding while also making other people radicalize and sit there and say, we have to get these systems destroyed because, go ahead. Because I firmly believe that like we in the world have everything we need to survive and be okay and to live. And the reason that terrorism and violence happens is because there are forces that weaponize us against each other.
You just said a great word, and I think it's so important because this is no different than any rhetoric that would come from a tyrannical dictator that Trump is spewing out. Like if you look across the board, whether you want to look at Taliban, whether you want to look at Stalin, whether you look at, Putin, this iron fist dictatorship criminalizing an entire group of people, making these broad spectrum comments that incite violence against people preemptively and retroactively in the wake that something goes unfavorably against your political campaign is something that's been televised on CNN, on Fox, on MSNBC. You see this all the time, and Americans shake their head and their fingers at their TV stations and say, not in America. That doesn't exist here. That has no place here. And then you have someone in the fucking race right now calling for violence against your neighbor, against your friends, against your coworkers, literally calling people animals that you buy food from, that you patronize, that you share fellowship with and community with every day of your lives. And you sit back and you're okay with this. And then if this man gets elected into office, their blood is on your hands, because this is the shit that makes people afraid to come out of the houses, that makes people feel unsafe in America. And you cannot sit here and say this is an immigration crisis, because as Miracle constantly says, when you disrupt and you destabilize these other people's countries and you parade the greatness of America on their TV screens and on brochures and on Instagram and every social media platform and all these different modalities, you cannot be really upset when they come here seeking refuge and asylum, praying for the same semblance of sanctity and things that are upheld by this Constitution, yet you have somebody running for the office that's antithesis of all of that while calling for violence for people that look like me and everybody at this fucking table.
And someone who wouldn't even be able to be running for office if his grandparents and parents didn't immigrate.
Come on, man.
He's married to an immigrant too.
That part, man.
Like, Melania is an immigrant.
Yeah, facts.
So it is, and then also too, like, he represents this class of people that are able to keep their status as wealthy people. Why? Because of what Miracle talked about earlier, because you're using this migrant labor because you can pay them less, they'll work longer hours, people don't really care about them. Even sometimes they can't really even complain because sometimes there's language barriers, even in the complaining,
that
right?
Part, man.
Here's a piece, right? It said, J.D. Vance said...
That's the biggest, the language barrier part. Come on, man.
It's J.D. Vance said, murders are up 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen in Springfield. Daniel Driscoll, Republican prosecutor in Springfield, quote, during the time that I've been in office, 21 years now, we have not had any murders involving the Haitian community. They're there to work a job, and they're there because these businesses want to bring them in so they can maximize their profit. And I just do want to touch on what you said, Miracle, because I think what you said is very, like, this is why one of the people, when we say, like, and we're an organization that, you know, talks about voter education and wanting to get people involved in voting, but sometimes the reason people don't want to be involved in the political process is exactly what Miracle said, because it's a cost. This country it's a cost to speaking truth to power. And like you said, you could be speaking certain truths and it's going to cost you a job, cost you a raise, cost you a promotion, right? And this country, they reward you. Just keep your head down and do your work. Don't make no waves. And again, who is the people that oftentimes are the best at that? It's people that are immigrants.
Because we have everything to lose.
Right. So people
we literally risk the most just by existing.
Right. But just by coming here, oftentimes the process to leave a country and come here with little or nothing is already like, in many cases, sometimes people don't survive just the trips over here.
Man.
So a lot of times when immigrants come here, it's like, keep your head down. Don't make no waves. Don't get involved in politics. Don't get involved in any of these things that could cause you to get on the radar or get surveillance, right? But the reality is, and what we've learned as Black people, particularly from our ancestors, is that our mere existence is political. So here are a group of people in Springfield, Ohio, that was just working a job. Wasn't they not trying to organize into groups that's going to take over political office in Springfield? Although I think they should. They're keeping their heads down, just working. They're not doing no crime. They're not bothering nobody. But just by your mere existence, now you're used as a political tool to try to get white supremacists in office. And now, even though you were just somebody that came here to work a job and not bother no one, your life is at risk. And this is why it's important for us, regardless, like, our mere existence is political. We're seeing this happening all over the globe. That's why it's important for us, regardless of what the price is, to say, nah, we're going to speak out against this. These things are crazy. This is white supremacy. You know, we don't want any, I mean, come on, more war? This is where we're at now. You know what I'm saying? You think you're going to bomb your way into some type of peaceful existence? That does not exist. And so it's important for people who believe in peace, prosperity, and love to speak up. And speaking of love, we cannot leave the podcast, although I want to.
We're not talking. Please don't.
Without mentioning.
Please don't.
Without mentioning. I mean, we got a little time left, Miracle.
Oh my God.
P.Diddy,
formerly known as Brother Love.
Yes, he called himself Love, and he called his album Love. And it's funny because they were like, why isn't he doing interviews about his album? Well, now we know. You know, P.Diddy was arrested. P. Diddy, I'm glad you're not on the mic when you said that. P. Diddy was arrested for racketeering, for sex trafficking. I think there were some other charges. Again, I think prostitution across criminal lines. He's looking at life in prison. He was denied bail. And the reason he was denied bail, I'm thinking like, oh, he was denied bail because of, they took his passport. He was
and his daughter's passport.
Yeah,
and the baby.
All the children had to surrender their passports.
The reason he was denied bail is because he was, I guess, had a history of trying to intimidate witnesses. One woman, he called her like 54 times, and there are people who have, been unalived, right? That maybe have been close to these things. When you read what Cassie put out, that as the day goes further, looks more truthful. He tried to blow up people's cars. He was holding people over, over balconies and doing all of these things.
Allegedly.
So,
allegedly.
Any comment on Diddy? Maybe never seen the light of day ever again.
Man, who knew that Cat Williams was a fortune teller?
Cat Williams was a. I mean, wait. I do have one comment about Diddy, being arrested. Take that. All right, that was.
It's crazy because I think his antics haven't done anything to help him, but Orlando Brown was one of the first people that were very early to talk about Puff's depravities.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, kind of just cast him aside because it's Orlando Brown, right? There's a lot of wild shit. But I think there's like a real conversation to have here and it's abhorrent what came out about Cassie and all these, and I'm talking to so many people that I know that I've had these conversations with, people that were upset at Cassie, saying that she was just a gold digger, that her money is dried up, that she was just like, oh, well, why wait so long? Well, now you know why she waited so long. And you also don't know how long it takes to bring charges up against somebody, right? The legal situation is an arduous process. But the people that Puff has harmed, there's so many people. And I think what's scary is, though, you don't know the influence that Puff got, right? Because all these photos are coming up with him, with everybody, and everybody's saying we got to investigate every celebrity that's ever been around Puff. Well, he's been a popular nigga for about 40 years now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so and granted, that's an indictment against Hollywood by itself. But
yeah, because one of the people he got a lot of pictures with is Donald Trump.
Yeah, with Trump. Yeah,
another person that he supported, and that just recently came out because they had to, Elon Musk is being sued, so he had to reveal who were the investors in him buying Twitter, and one of the major investors was Diddy.
So hold on.
Elon Musk.
I got something to share though about this. So if we're going off the basic math of, I looked this up, 14 milliliters in a bottle of lotion, right? And there was 1,000 of them.
Baby oil,
right? And then they confiscated 794 sex toys from his house, right? That's 1.25 bottles per sex toy.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for that. You could have saved that for the your last little comment.
That goes to my issue.
Please break it down.
Because I feel like we're not talking about his sexual violence. We're talking about his sexuality. That we're not talking about the people he allegedly sexually assaulted and beat and allegedly unalived. We're trying to joke about whether or not he's straight or not.
Right.
Whether or not he likes men or not. Whether or not like other people are gay or not through this. And that has really turned me off from even engaging this whole entire conversation, because I do think that there is a lack of understanding about how consent works and what affirmative consent is. But I also do think that we are literally dealing with allegedly someone who has forced hundreds, if not thousands of people into sex work against their consent,
right,
and has used violence and other means to control them, including allegedly minors. And all we are getting now is freaky frog, freak off jokes and jokes about like baby oil and lube. I think we are completely missing the point, and I don't blame people. I blame the AUSA, who literally, when he was doing his announcement of charges, was trying to, in my opinion, engage in like psychological buck breaking by being like, this is all the stuff we found at his house. This is all the stuff but he could throw sex parties And that could be completely consensual. Right. He could be inviting hundreds of people over now, and that could all be consensual. The sex toys, the oil, the lube, that is irrelevant to whether or not he was forcing people to have sex, whether he was kidnapping people, taking people from across state lines, telling people that if you wanted, instead of walking to Juniors, you got to run through these people. That is a completely separate conversation. And I think that the way the government is trying to weaponize homophobia in this conversation is even more violent and even more dangerous than we recognize and realize, because people have lost really full sight of what is happening and what these documents are alleging. We're talking about fake videos, fake tapes, what celebrity is next. It's like, this is not a reality TV show. These are real, these are real victims. And
he's going to be looking at a mandatory minimum, right?
There's a possibility.
He's looking at life.
But like, at the same
racketeering his life.
At the same time, he is allegedly in one of the worst prisons in America. Jails in America. One of these jails we have been trying to shut down for years. And now
you're talking about Rikers, for those who don't know.
No, he's at MDC.
I thought he was at Rikers.
No, he's at MDC.
He's at MDC.
He allegedly was supposed to be at Rikers.
Yeah, I thought he was.
They were like, no.
Yeah, because he'd had too much influence at Rikers.
That, or it would be too violent. It's like too violent, because we're also thinking about what's going on with his NYPD investigation. We know that Eric Adams and Diddy were friends. So this is so much happening right now that we don't even know if there's ever going to be a trial, right? Because we don't know how where all these bodies are going to end up at. And I just wish the AUSA would have had sealed the indictment. Would have waited and would have talked about his past practices of threatening and talking to people, and we could have left it at that, because you literally go on TikTok and all you just see is like Johnson baby, because everybody is like running into the store and making these comments, and it's like no one's talking about 1 in 6 men and boys being sexually assaulted. No one's talking about what human trafficking is. No one's talking about where to go if you were a victim of sexual violence. No one's telling people to look up Me Too and support and Pittsburgh Action Against Rape and all these other organizations. We're not having that conversation. We're just having a sensationalization of sexual assault, and I feel like this is going to put us even further away of our opening and awareness that Me Too brought.
I had a conversation this weekend in barbershop. It was just yesterday morning, and I was talking about certain quote unquote black leaders, and a guy mentioned one. I was like, well, he was a human trafficker, and this guy's response was, well, everybody has a past. I'm like,
oh shit.
I'm like, no, we're not just gonna sit here and ignore the fact that he was. And he was like, well, what is human trafficking by the definition? I was like, what the fuck does this sound like? It's human trafficking. Right. It's like,
and again, we're descendants of people that have been human trafficked.
Right? I couldn't believe this guy said this. Everybody has. I was like, oh, okay, we one of them niggas. Okay.
There's a rapper, icon, who was accused of assaulting boys. And people were like, well, do we know he did that? And like, is it even a big deal that he did that? And it's like, my last thing with Diddy is, if you knew this was coming up, like allegedly he's known this for 3 or 4 years.
Well, you're seeing all these people retire or like step down from their positions the day after he got
But my thing is like, where is your conversation about transformative justice? Where is your conversation about forgiveness? Like my thing, and I'm not saying.
Well, that's why he called himself Love.
No, but I'm not saying like I'm talking about like true that's PR crazy. And crisis management. Where was your like? I'm going into therapy to get support, and I now have learned what consent is.
No, he didn't do none of that.
My thing is,
he thought he could make music out of it, or he thought he could,
I just don't understand of all these people who've been allegedly being violent. Where was someone to come out and say, I did not know that this was not a healthy relationship. I did not know you weren't supposed to hit your partner. Now that I know this, I'm seeking help. I apologize. That is what I do not understand. Like, you knew you were getting arrested.
What he was doing? What he was doing actually was saying like, I'll give you back your publishing if you sign this agreement saying you'll like never testify against me. That's actually what he was doing. So again,
that's even do anymore. Like, this is the thing. And I don't know who was his legal representative. NDAs are not
they're not
permitted in the law anymore.
Nope.
You can still testify in a criminal trial even if you have an NDA. So I'm very confused about what was the protection plan, because my thing is like, someone should have been like, bruh, this does not look good. good for you. You may not have enough money to pay everybody off, but you got to start like rehabbing your image. You got to start talking about you're sorry, you have learned. Where was your autobiography? Autobiography coming out and be like, I was a effed up person.
That would have been smart, but unfortunately,
then he launched a foundation and be like, I'm helping sexual assault.
Right.
survivors.
Yeah.
I'm helping black men learn how to love and support.
Somebody's gonna watch this show and like hire Miracle.
They have to, man.
Miracle is literally like this.
Brilliant.
This age is Olivia Pope.
Absolutely.
She's like
the fixer.
Olivia Pope.
You see criminals. I'm about to say, you see the wonder she's worked for Trump.
Speaking
like, Jesus Christ.
Sexual assaulters and human trafficking criminals. The Trump indictments is our white pages for today.
How many indictments?
The 91 criminal counts.
How many did he convict on?
Against the former president of the United States. 34 so far indicted. This is Ali Velshi. He's did I say that right? His last name?
Yeah.
Ali Velshi. He is an MSNBC chief correspondent. He's really good on TV. So the Trump indictments, you can look for yourself and find out about all 91 Trump indictments. With that being said, do we have any comments or final words that we want to share?
Miracle's been on a roll. Go ahead.
Miracle?
Practice affirmative consent.
Yes.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Yes.
But, other than that, have fun. There are things out there.
Yeah. Trouble?
I would say celebrities are not your saviors.
Yes.
They don't know everything about everything. Billionaires are not what we have sensationalized them to be. We should be careful of who we put on a pedestal and who we idolize, and never lose sight.
Ooh, right. Farouk, do you have a fact for us today?
Yeah.
Another one.
No, this is a good one, right? All the bugs in the world, all the insects in the world weigh the same amount that all the human beings in the world do.
That is fascinating.
Do you know my nibblings? They're like, do you know what the most dangerous animal in the world is?
Probably an ant.
A human being?
Fire ant. Or
they were like, only humans have the ability to kill every single other animal in the world.
We do have an event coming up. As we close, if you are in Pittsburgh, we are a proud sponsor of Slappers and Bangers.
Oh yeah.
The 9th anniversary. It's going to be September 29th. That Sunday, September 29th. From 3 to 9 p.m. You got to be 21. It's going to be at Bloomfield Park under the Bloomfield Bridge. And so catch us next week at Slappers and Bangers.
There's a park under that bridge?
Yes, doing some voter engagement and voter outreach. We got a bunch of stuff happening because we're going to do a lot of voter engagement coming up. We did have some blackmail. We didn't have a chance to get to it. We'll get to it next week.
I didn't know we had blackmail.
But if you want to support One Hood, you go to onehood.org, the number onehood.org. You can get merch. You can make a donation. You can support us. And we will catch y'all next week. Peace, y'all. One Hood.